On the lineup today, a comprehensive review of Super Bowl 47. Stick around. And hello, friends, and welcome to Lions Lineup, the sports show here at Lions Television that brings you sports news, analysis, and fun on a national level. I'm Alex Zuber, and I'm joined here today by Jasmine Bodie and Joe Caputo. Jasmine will talk about our first topic, which happens to be the blackout that took place in the Super Bowl. Take it away, Jasmine.
Slightly after the start of the second half of the Super Bowl 47, there was a power outage. The power outage lasted a total of 34 minutes. When the game resumed, the 49ers went on to score 17 unanswered points. Did the power outage have any effect on the game?
I know you thought that there was a major impact.
When we were talking, Joe, during the game, I said that could be the reason why the Niners could come back and win, because it gave them 34 minutes to regroup, get their senses in order, and formulate a game plan to get back in the game.
The reason why I didn't think that the power outage played as big of an impact as a lot of people said it did was because the 49ers had a 3rd and 13 before the power outage. And after the power outage, they did not convert that third down. They punted, and then they were able to stop the Ravens and get the ball back. All happened after the power outage. So I didn't think that, let's say the 49ers went down and scored a touchdown directly after, maybe you could say then that it had a major impact. But since there was 2 drives in between that and the 49ers' first score, not to mention that they already had 20 minutes of halftime to mentally prepare themselves, I really don't think it had as big of an impact as a lot of people thought.
But remember what happened right after halftime, though. You had Jacoby Jones run down.
Yeah, 108 yards.
That place was rocking,
yeah.
And then they get Kaepernick at a 3rd and 13. Baltimore has all the momentum in that game. They're feeling it. They feel that they're only, 20, 25 minutes away from a Super Bowl championship. So I really think that 34 minutes definitely cooled them off a little bit, and it gave San Francisco time to regroup. And I know they obviously didn't come back right away, but they were able to force a 3-and-out from Baltimore. Then they came down and scored 17 unanswered points. It definitely had an impact on the game.
Yeah, I think the blackout definitely had an impact on the game because after halftime, after the 108-yard run, Baltimore had all the momentum in the game. I thought personally at that moment that it was going to be a blowout. I really wanted to turn off the TV at that moment. But then after the blackout, you had 34-minute delay. People, like you said, had a chance to regroup and then kind of come out with more momentum, I guess, kind of pump each other up, and then it allowed them to get back into the game.
But to be honest with you, when you have coaches that are as good as what the 49ers, the Harbaugh brothers, I really don't think that you could use that as an excuse if you're the Ravens as to why you gave up a lead. I mean, John Harbaugh had out-coached Jim the entire first half. But you have to stay on your players and not let that happen.
But you can't tell me that they weren't, and you saw how pissed off John Harbaugh was when those lights were off for that time. He was,
so instead of him going up to the stadium officials and yelling at them, why isn't he on his players getting them ready?
But how tough are you going to be on your players when you have, 31-6?
It was 28-6.
Yeah,
28-6. So, imagine having a 22-point lead in the Super Bowl and being that mad.
But this is the Super Bowl. You have to get ready. I mean, there's 20 minutes left, and you're going to be hoisting up that trophy.
If you talk to John Harbaugh though after the game, I guarantee that he will not say that had no impact on the game, because it definitely did.
Yeah, it definitely had an impact on the game.
And that's the question, right?
It did.
I mean, it's hard for me to say that it had as big of an impact as everyone else is making a case for. Yeah. I just feel like there could have been other factors involved. I mean, let's say the 49ers scored a touchdown without there being a power outage. I think the momentum shifts anyway.
Yeah.
So the 49ers score is what really shifted the momentum of the game, not as much the power outage.
I still think that the NFL dodged the bullet here, though, because had the 49ers come back and won that game, there would have been a lot of controversy in Baltimore about what caused that and how.
Regardless of if it had the impact or not, there would have been.
It would have, yeah.
All right, well, we're all out of time for this segment. We need to take a quick break, but first we have a trivia question for you. Who was the last non-quarterback to win the Super Bowl MVP award? We'll have the answer right after this break. Before the break, we asked you who was the last non-quarterback to win the Super Bowl MVP, and the answer was Santonio Holmes of the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 43. Now I'll turn it over to Joe, who has his take on the big game.
Thanks, Zook. Much of the blame for the 49ers' 34-31 loss to the Ravens in the Super Bowl could be placed upon their own shoulders. However, that does not necessarily let the refs off the hook. a few non-calls headlined by Ravens defensive back Cary Williams pushing a referee that wasn't penalized has led to some questioning of the officials. Therefore, the question arises, after a season of the officials being criticized for way too many calls, were they too lenient in the big game?
Absolutely 100%. And I don't mean to interrupt you, Jasmine, but the fact that you had the big, bad Baltimore Ravens team, the hard-hitting, tough defense that they have, and they got penalized twice for 10 yards, that already is ridiculous. But there were 4 plays where the officials
and
bailed
I have
out.
them right in my head here.
I'm ready to spew them out right now. Number one, you had that play where a starting quarterback should have been thrown out of the game for hitting an official. I don't care if it's not intentional. If you push an official, you should be out of the game. It's as simple as that.
I want to back you up on this point. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, there was a Thursday night game between the 49ers and the Chargers, and Justin Smith there was an altercation, and he turned around and he thought an official was a player, and he just nudged him a little bit and got tossed out of the game. It was way less blatant than what happened in the Super Bowl.
I personally think you can't blame the referees for your team losing. It's unexcusable. To me, the 49ers either should have played better.
All right, so that's the first play.
You can't.
That's the first play. Second play was on that 2-point conversion that could have tied the game.
The 2-point conversion. Ed Reed was clearly offside.
Ed Reed is a yard off sides, and they totally miss it. And he's running right at Kaepernick, and he's forced to throw it away. If they convert that, it's a tie game. And then you give Flacco an opportunity to come down and try to win the game.
You cannot blame the officials for your team losing. Your
Even
team should have came out better.
But I want to say that I understand what you're saying. I really do. I know that you can't blame the officials, and I'm not trying to blame the officials. There were plenty of plays. There was the LaMichael James fumble that really turned the game around. There was plenty of plays, including all 4 of them at the goal line at the end, that the 49ers could have made that would have won them the game. But I want to just point, and there was a play on the Niners' end that they should have been penalized for too, I believe. There was a play where Joe Flacco was rolling out at the goal line and threw an incomplete pass, and Isaac Sopoaga clearly hit him while he was out of bounds, and they didn't call that either. So I could make a case for both sides.
But what you're saying to me right now is there were missed calls on both sides, affecting both teams. So therefore, you really can't blame the officials for your team losing. The 49ers should have came out better in the first half, and maybe the calls wouldn't have mattered at the end. But once you're already down, you're going to blame it on the officials for you not scoring. It's not the officials' fault.
Joe,
blame your offense then.
When this game started, I told you, I said, this officiating crew is not good. And after the game, there was some talk from analysts saying that it was a controversial pick.
And because
that's true.
The point that a lot of analysts were making was that you're supposed to work 3 playoff games before you ref a Super Bowl.
Yes.
And Boger's crew had not worked 3 playoff games prior to the Super Bowl.
Terrible pick by the NFL. In a year where they had all the drama with the replacement officials, they made a bad decision to pick that crew. But with the game on the line in the 4th quarter, Jasmine, you're absolutely right. They could have scored 3 plays before that to get 5 yards.
So I can't blame it all on that.
Crabtree was held past the 5 yards.
It looked like Crabtree was held,
and the ball could have been caught if he wasn't held.
And it looked like a similar play the drive before that when Culliver got called for a pass interference on Torrey Smith. So, listen, it just didn't seem like everything was called.
Just as they did against Denver, Baltimore got lucky, in my opinion. And we'll have more to discuss about the Super Bowl, but the officials, in my opinion, bailed out Baltimore and robbed the 49ers of potentially a Super Bowl championship. We need to take a quick break. We'll be back with our final segment right after this. Welcome back. After a stellar postseason combined with a Super Bowl championship with the MVP, Joe Flacco is on top of the NFL world. Some like him, some don't. Now, where would you guys put him on your list when you ranked all of the quarterbacks in the NFL compared to the elite ones and then the above average?
I want to hear Jasmine's view on this first.
Okay, thank you. I would put him maybe top 10, but I wouldn't not say top 5, because when you think the elite NFL quarterbacks, you're automatically going to Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, you're going Eli Manning even. But you
said that first.
but you are not going to say Joe Flacco is top 5. Top 10, I'll give him that, because you can't take the Super Bowl win away from him, but that's my take.
I saw his big smile come over your face when she said Tom Brady. But where do you put him? Because I want to know what I should be disputing about.
Well, I would put him, I agree with Jasmine. I think I'd put him 7th or 8th. I'd go Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, both Mannings. then Matt Ryan, and I think I'm missing somebody else. But he's either 7
So
or 8.
you're putting Matt Ryan above
Absolutely.
Joe Flacco?
Look at his stats
On what
this year.
basis?
Yeah,
Okay,
First
but
of all,
stats
they
are
were,
stats.
They were one play away from getting to the Super Bowl to face him against
Okay.
your Niners. They
All right.
were in that game. They had a 17-0 lead
That's
and they
true.
blew it. Matt Ryan didn't play that well in the second half. But look at his regular season stats. Joe Flacco has not thrown for more than 25
But
touchdowns
you're the
in
first
whole
one
year.
to say that regular season stats don't matter when you're comparing Peyton Manning to Tom Brady. So how can you
No,
make that
that's not
argument?
true. That's
yes,
not
it
true
is
at all.
true.
No, maybe 10 years ago, but now Brady has better regular season stats than Peyton Manning. And I know in the past few years
This
he
year they
has.
were very, very
They were
similar.
close, exactly.
Yeah,
Very
they
similar.
were
And,
similar.
and
That
you still
argument-
go back to the whole
Absolutely.
ring thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And who has more rings, Joe Flacco or Matt Ryan?
Flacco's got a better defense. He's got a better a much better coach than John Harbaugh.
But you can't start. I don't think you could start breaking down the quarterback situation. I mean, they were drafted in the same draft by similar teams in terms of talent at the time that they came in the NFL. And Joe Flacco has won a playoff game in every season that he's been in the league.
Absolutely.
Would you put Joe Flacco in front of Matt Ryan at least?
I see your point, but no. I think you do. I think you do kind of have to
Thanks,
judge.
Joe.
You do kind of have to judge the team that you're being put on. Like if you're a quarterback, you obviously need somebody to throw it to. You obviously need somebody to protect you. So that is going to affect your numbers.
Well, if you bring up some people that you could throw it to, I would definitely say that Matt Ryan has better receivers than Joe Flacco.
Well, but Joe Flacco's a running game and a better offensive line.
That's true.
And really, Joe Flacco's receivers are very underrated. You got
They're
Jacoby
underrated,
Jones,
but
you
they're
got
no
Torrey Smith,
Julio Jones,
Anquan
Roddy
Bolden.
White,
Okay.
Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah,
Those
he's
are
got Pitt,
that's
man.
probably
Pitt, you would have put Pitt with Tony Gonzalez. No, I'm just kidding. That's a little inside joke with some of our friends with Pitta. But to me, I've watched Flacco for the past 4 years, and I've seen him in the playoffs because he's in the AFC, and I'm a Patriots fan. And I think he's a solid quarterback, but to me, I can't put him in that top 7 or 8. And then the other issue is how much money he's going to be getting. He's going to have more money coming in than Eli Manning and Tom Brady. Maybe even more than Drew Brees, and that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He wants
It
to
really
be
is.
the highest paid player in the
insane.
NFL, and
Don't you think
but
that's insane?
I do think
Yeah,
that's
that is
insane.
insane.
I just got finished up doing my podcast, and we were talking about Joe Flacco's situation, and we actually had a guest caller on the show that
Your brother,
said,
right?
my brother, that said that Joe Flacco is being completely selfish. Why?
Absolutely.
Not because he wants too much money, but because when he takes too much money, he's going to take away from
Anquan Bolden.
money
Yeah,
that other people
are getting.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
care
true.
about
I think that was a great point that was
He
made.
also said
true.
when Deion Sanders after the game said, you're going to get $100 million, he said he'd walk into his owner's office and say, pay me.
Yeah.
That's one reason why I'm losing respect from Joe
That's
Flacco
true.
by the day. I think he's insanely selfish here, and he's going to be getting more money than he deserves. That's a fact.
I'll agree with you on the basis that he's going to be making too much money.
And you know
I'll
what?
Yeah,
disagree
it's-
with you on the
it's
basis that he's not as good of a quarterback as Matt Ryan.
But he's getting too much money. Like, how are you gonna have him making more money than say Eli
Tom
Manning,
Brady
who
or
has
Eli Manning.
who has 2 championships? You just won. Like, no.
I agree.
Too
All
much
right,
money.
well, I think we're all out of time, and it's a great segment, guys, but this will do it for this edition of Lions Lineup. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you'd like to become a part of Lions Lineup or work for LTV, email our account at ltv@tcnj.edu. For Joe Caputo and Jasmine Body and all of us here at LTV, I'm Alex Zucker. We will see you next time.